Hello, let me do a quick review of Network Effect. This is Murderbot Diaries number 5, continuation of the Murderbot series, set in a science fiction future where corporations have completely taken over our lives, or run by sociopaths, basically putting the majority of humanity in basically in slavery. Not everything is ground down all by numbers and corporate greed. Nothing like today at all whatsoever. And there's only, far out in the kind of the fringes of thing, there are independent colonies. The Preservation Alliance being the specific one that comes into effect here, where people have these crazy ideas of rights for individuals. Now, this is a world that we've gotten introduced to from Murderbot, who is a rogue sec unit, a complete construct creation and owned object by the corporations that built it. It is partially human, partially the mechanical, electronic, and indeed when it usually walks around in armor and a full face shield, and when human beings, or augmented human beings who have their own little implants, much like we have our phones lodged in us, see that with the face up, they realize, oh, this has got a human face, but it's I thought it was a robot. It's like, no, it is very much a mechanical flesh thing. Murderbot, who calls itself Murderbot, is unique in the sec units. Sec units have governor modules implanted in them that administer jolts if they veer away from their corporate directives. Oftentimes, stuff that's even against their client interests of gathering information to sell, that the corporations can then use or sell on, or use to control the human beings that scurry around in its system. This governor unit also will kill a sec unit if it gets too far away from its assigned client, even if said client is maybe being abducted or something like that. The governor module does not care, and it also doesn't care if the whatever the directives are to perhaps do horrible things in corporation's name. Now, Murderbot, as we know it from the earlier series, has hacked its governor module and is now capable of independent thought, independent things. Most of the time, it's actually mostly happy getting to watch its media, its stories. It's hooked on soap operas that it really enjoys, which often have murderous rogue sec units in it, because that's in popular culture. There's obviously always an uneasiness, kind of fear of them, which gets translated into showing them as these horrible monster creatures, even though it's actually the society that actually constructs and use them that is the horror show. Now, it is actually managed in the series thus far to get free from this. It's gained a friend and a kind of a help person in Dr. Mensa, who is actually one of the kind of head people of the Preservation Alliance, and indeed is now outside of the corporate ring, where it's actually kind of more recognized as a person. There's still a bit of thing of legalese going on there, that Dr. Mensa is supposed to be its guardian, so it's still not quite equal rights even in this human society. Now, Murderbot has really, I think, is the thing that's really hit for Mrth Wlls in this series. It is sort of in a lot of ways, I think it hits geeks the best of all, because it's antisocial. It's horrible at any interactions. It finds human emotions just puzzling, even though it definitely has its own emotions that it doesn't really know what to do with, because really, it's a constructed being that's just been told what to do and is not been allowed to, you know, explore any of that stuff. It has its own real sense of right and wrong, I think, is a real thing for this. This sec unit, if it holds on to something from its core programming, it's that it wants to help. It wants to protect its humans. It feels very possessive about its humans. And indeed, Dr. Mensah has a daughter, Amena, in this book, and it very methodically makes sure that when she gets a bad boyfriend, that bad boyfriend is well inspected and she is protected from said bad boyfriend, who might be more. We never know for sure if this is just a low grade creep or a truly corporate hire creep in this story. That's just a very little minor detail. Now, Dr. Mensah is dealing with her own trauma and is left behind in this book, while Murderbot goes off on an adventure and needs to protect its own human beings from what seems to be a colony that perhaps has been infiltrated by its own alien influence. This is definitely the concept here of when they're exploring other worlds. If they find alien artifacts, that area becomes completely sealed off for Bolton. You can't actually settle on it, or it has to be decontaminated because contacts with this alien tech has seriously messed up people before. And if this is any example, when you have these people who have turned kind of all gray and mottled and have some very odd kind of decisions of what they want to do, you can see that this could spell really bad things for humans, whether they are preservation or corporate in this society. And this is Murderbot is protecting them. The big news though for this novel is that Art again gets to come into contact with Art, who is the asshole research transport, a bot who is the intelligence that controls this research transport, which is a much larger intellect. This is like a super computer versus just sort of the individual intelligence of Murderbot. While Murderbot is extremely good at being a security unit and assessing stuff, Art has much larger stuff and has helped Murderbot on its earlier passageway on trying to basically being on the lam and how to kind of pretend to be human, even though it hates human, really doesn't really like human beings, thinks they're gross, smell like socks, just disgusting. What's all this kind of kissy stuff? It's like in soap operas, I just fast forwards through those sort of things. So we get Art again, and at the beginning it doesn't look that great for Art. Maybe Art is gone, and that's a part of the mystery that happens in this. I have to say, this is probably the first Murderbot entry that I've actually felt like it really stuck the landing, that it felt like it has a satisfying ending, and that it kind of points on to further adventures, further installments in the Murderbot soap opera. Because indeed that's I think is the big takeaway from this, is that this really is a series, a continuing series of stories, and you're always just going to get the next story and the next story, like a soap opera in these books. Even though at the beginning, at the middle, at the center of it is a very non-melodramatic character, a character who gets to go into these adventures and kind of very methodically think them through, come up with ideas, power through them, turn off its pain sensors, kind of be the murderous sec unit that we all have come to love. So if you haven't tried this series, I would totally recommend it. And if you're looking forward to this one, definitely enjoy, because you get a kind of a full dose of Murderbot and its adventures. All right, I will leave it there. More videos later.